I used to drive 18-wheelers cross-country in the USA. Here are a few strange things I saw out on the roads in the middle of the night. One time, driving south on 35 through Texas, I saw a flock of birds taking off from a horizon of trees. The sun was setting behind them, so all I could make out were hundreds of these bird silhouettes lifting off into the sky. As I am watching them fly away, coming from behind them appears to be a gigantic shadow in the shape of a bird, much bigger than the flock of regular birds coming before it. I stretched my arm out to it and spread the fingers of my hand, and even at a distance, just over the horizon, this thing's wingspan was longer than from the tip of my thumb to the tip of my pinky. Whatever it was huge. Another time, I was driving through Louisiana at night in a heavy rainstorm. There was no one on the road with me, and no streetlights around at all, so all I could see was the light from my headlights cutting through the rain, maybe 25 to 30 feet ahead of the truck. Even though there were no other cars around, and big trucks were supposed to stay to the right here, I got a bad feeling that I needed to get in the left lane right then. It was a sensation of deep, painful dread telling me to change lanes immediately. I trusted my gut and I got over, kind of in a driver's routine daze of unconscious reaction. Maybe 5 seconds after I got in the other lane, I saw an alligator stretched out across the width of the lane that I had just left. If I had hit that thing, I would have lost control of the truck and ended up in a ditch on the side of the road, probably dead. The weirdest part though, as I was processing the alligator and the strange dread that made me narrowly avoid death, and as these thoughts are going through my head about just how lucky I was, suddenly, I see sitting on the side of the road a person. They are cross-legged, naked. They are staring out, sitting alone in the pouring rain at night. This person, or whatever it was, they were bright pink. And whatever it was had no facial features whatsoever. The scariest thing I ever saw, and this is a true story. I was driving through the desert of California. It must have been around 3 a.m. I was quietly singing to myself to alleviate the boredom, since I had been driving maybe 9 hours straight on about 4 hours of sleep just the day before. You could say I was mentally fatigued or that I was hallucinating, but the vividness of the thing that I saw was too real for me to discount it as a trick of the mind. When you're driving along a long stretch of dark desert highway at night, all you can see are the stars and the road that your headlights reach out to. Everything else is just blackness. That night, as I was out there all alone, I swear I saw something that I cannot explain that frightens me to this day. At first, I noticed what looked like reflections of light quickly flashing beside me out in the darkness. Maybe the running lights on the side of the trailer bouncing off a faraway road sign, or some white painted building long abandoned briefly lighting up in the edge of my headlights. Over time though, the flashes of light became much too frequent for me to ignore, and I curiously peered outside the window into the night to see what was going on. At first, it looked like a mirror or distorted glass was way out in the distance, sending back a warped reflection of the lights from my truck speeding past. But as I watched it, I realized it was not flashing on and off. It was raising and lowering off of the ground, because at times it would be very tall, and then other times it would be very short and low to the ground, so I could not have noticed it out of the corner of my eye. As I kept on watching it, the thing started getting closer, because at a certain distance, I saw my headlights actually begin to reach it and reflect off of it, but it was too far away. So then I realized it was naturally luminescent, a bright white glow. That was also when I realized what it was, and was when I became terrified. It acted like a bedsheet on a clothesline that billows in a harsh wind, its edges frantically tearing and beating at the shadows around it. It had the shape of a human, so you can imagine the arms and legs flapping insanely like long white ribbons as it ran through the desert just alongside me, keeping pace with me. I think it knew I had seen it, because it moved just to the edge of the road, keeping pace with my truck, going 60 miles per hour the entire time, and remained in an upright state. The thing was as tall as my truck, or taller, so at least 11 feet tall. It was bright white, with long thin arms and legs that shook and beat at the air, and jumped and leaped and flew over the desert sand. I had no reaction but fear, and I had no idea what I could do, so I just kept driving out of instinct. And eventually, after a few thousand feet, the thing stopped, shooting back into the darkness just behind me, reflecting in my mirror like a kite taken swiftly away by the breeze. I drove for maybe an hour more, wide-eyed in shock and panic, trying my best to convince myself that what I had just seen was not real. The description of the creature might not seem threatening, but the sight of it, tearing along beside me, whipping around like it did, I couldn't process it, so my mind naturally made me afraid of it. I have no idea what that thing was, if it was trying to make me look at it, or if it even cared that I existed, but I'm positive it was real, because when I had almost convinced myself it was my imagination, and when I was finally beginning to feel okay with what had happened, I saw it again, standing on the edge of the road, leaning or draping itself against a highway road sign, facing me as I passed. The last glimpse that I got of the thing, it may have been clouded or altered by my fear, or by my increasing mental fatigue, but I swear, I vividly remember the look of this thing as I drove by, like the folds of its thin torso, or the shadowy imperfections in its white luminescence, coming together in the shape of a leering, toothy smile. I am not a trucker or a janitor, but I had something happen recently that really messed me up in the head. I was 27 years old when this happened, a third shift maintenance manager / engineer at a local plastic engineering facility. It was snowy outside that day, and I am the only one who can make it into work due to vehicle constraints. I luckily own a truck that can plow through. I am literally the only person in this 0.75 square mile facility. Only one department was needed in operation that night. The perforation department was on the south wing of the building, basically a half-mile walk away from my office. All of the lights on the factory floor are motion activated after 11 p.m. due to energy saving. I look out the office window. It's pitch black, except for a few red and green lights blinking from powered down machines that are nearby. I grab my golf cart from my work area. It has all of my tools in a mini truck bed. I head down the quality assurance aisle to the perforation department. One row of lights after another flicker on for their scheduled 15 minutes until motion is no longer detected. I get up to the department. I start at machines 1 of 5. Number 6 is not functioning properly. There's a hydraulic leak coming from one of the valves. I head to grab a new valve from my cart when I notice from the department's front window that lights are being triggered on from the Eastern Wing's molding facility. What the hell? No one should be here right now. I text all of my employees to see if anyone actually made it to work. They all replied no. I walk over to where the lights are being activated. I hear chain links rattling coming from a wooden pallet rack. It was hanging on the bar. No strong drafts in the building could possibly do that. Suddenly, the lights start to flicker. I thought the storm maybe caused it. The lights that are around 300 feet away from where I was standing suddenly turn on. I walk over towards a coworker's office. I see a reflection in his window. A woman in a white dress with long, black, oily-looking hair. They were just standing there, swaying ever so slightly. Nope. I decide to be stupid, and I ask if she is alright. Her head stamps towards my direction. No sound comes out of her mouth. She was slightly transparent. I was barely able to see through her. She had what looked like a Victorian-style dress on that was coated in mud and looked like it had been thrown into a river. I freaked the hell out and booked it back to my office. I ran inside, locked the door, and pulled down all of the shades. I immediately called my supervisor, and I freaked out, asking if he had ever seen anything like that. He said it was probably nothing. Then he hangs up on me. I peek out of the shutters, and I see more areas of the facility's lights being triggered. There is occasional flickering and banging sounds. I waited until it stopped, and then I went home. I'm not gonna lie, that night scared the shit out of me, but it hasn't happened since. I like ghost hunting and stuff, but that was a little too confrontational for my likes. I'm hoping it wasn't too shitty of a story for you guys. I was 11 or 12 years old when this happened. I don't really remember my exact age, I'm just ballparking it. I'm spending the night at my aunt's house. As a kid, I was always super scared to be away from home. I'm always naturally on edge. I have a twin brother, so we spent the night there together, but he was a heavy sleeper, so it still felt like I was on my own for most of the night. We watched TV and have some ice cream. Nothing special, basic bonding stuff. Eventually I go to bed. My aunt with her boyfriend at the time, and my brother and I in the living room on a couch in a love seat. I fall asleep around 10 o'clock. I was a kid at that time. The living room is connected with the entryway and front door. I wake up around what I can only assume was 1 or 2 a.m. The house is pitch black. She has really nice drapes, and I am scared of the dark. I really have to pee. I turn my head so I'm facing towards the entryway. I freeze, and my heart jumps to my throat. The house is pitch black, yet there is a sliver of light through the front door that reveals what looks like a lady, dressed in all white, standing completely still. I am literally scared out of my damn mind. I have to pee so badly. I just lay there, stiff and still. I lay there for hours, but the lady in white, she does not go away. She continues to stand in place. I try to scream, but I can't, and getting off the couch is not an option. I am so frightened. The only time in my life I have felt like death was going to come soon. Suddenly, I look over and the lady in white is gone. This scares me even more, and I try to scream, but all that comes out is dry, raspy yelps. Suddenly I can move again, and I start to bawl. I'm still too scared to get off the couch. I just sob and try to yell, but I can't wake anyone up. I cry myself to sleep, and wake up from my aunt shaking me. I start to cry the moment I wake up. I try to tell her what I saw. She says it was probably just a coat, reflecting strangely. I talk to my brother about the situation, and he sees nothing. A couple of weeks later, we are playing video games and talking about Naruto. He suddenly goes quiet, and I look over to him. Tears are rolling down his face, and he is not moving. I shake him. He does not say anything. I call for my mom because I am panicked, and she comes upstairs without much urgency. I am crying at this point, wondering what the hell is going on. She starts to panic too, but she tries to contain it so that we don't notice, and she starts gently saying my brother's name. After about 3 minutes, he snaps back to reality and screams. But this scream isn't normal. It's raspy and quiet. My mom hugs him in relief, and later that day called a therapist. He starts regular sessions. He goes to them until we're around 15 years old. He eventually stops. He tells me he has nothing to talk to them about anymore. And around this time, we start smoking cigarettes and hanging around other people's homes. One night, we're smoking cigarettes at my friend's house. He has a bedroom in the basement next to the window that we exhaled out of so that his parents didn't know that we had started smoking. We ate a frozen pizza and then went to bed. I wake up at around 3 a.m., needing to pee. I am startled as hell because my brother, who was sleeping on the opposite side of the floor, is sitting up and crying. I ask him what's wrong. He does not respond. I go over, and he is as still as a stone. His face is all red and he's just crying. I shake him and slap him, and he finally is out of his trance. He lets out that raspy, quiet scream once again. I ask him what happened. He tells me that this has been happening for years. I ask him if he sees anything. He points into the darkness. I tell him I can't see shit. He says that he sees a ghost. Oh shit. It all comes back to me at that moment. I had not thought about it for years. I ask him if it looks like a lady in white. He nods. I tell him I've seen it before too. He doesn't believe me at first. but I talk him through exactly what happened and convince him. After that night, we talked it out. He said it happened to him as often as weekly to once a month, and that it had not stopped since we were kids. I asked him when it started, but he said it's happened way too many times to remember. I say that it started to happen around the age of 11 to 12 years old. He guesses that was the age it happened for him too. Over the next couple of months, we discuss it often, and he tells me it helped that someone else knows, and it has not happened since that night. Later in life, we're now around 18 years old, getting ready to graduate high school. We kinda grew apart once he got a girlfriend, and he started to devote most of his time towards her. We argue often, but since we're brothers, this is not unusual, but he got nasty at times. He told me things like he wished I would kill myself. Once, in an argument, he said, "My life would be so much easier without you. It's either you or me." He started to go to therapy again, this time because he had swallowed every single pill he could find in our bathroom cabinet one night. I asked my mom if she knows what's happening. She says he feels scared often, and I finally tell her about the lady in white. She looks surprised and tells her that she has had the same sort of thing happen to her, but that it happened a few years ago after my great-grandma died. I asked my mom what her reaction was, but she said it only happened once, and she passed it off as being too tired and just seeing things. Some time passes by. One day after school, I come home with my brother, and he immediately runs to our room upstairs. I didn't think much of it. I had a date that day. My phone died while I was outside, and I forgot a charger, but I did not realize it had died until I was about to leave. I came back home, and nobody was there. I plugged in my phone downstairs and called my mom. She said she was out at a party with friends. My dad was not around at this point. They got divorced a few months earlier. I walk upstairs and flip on the lights. I saw the most horrifying thing I ever had, and this is sincerely difficult for me to write, so please bear with me. The first thing that I saw was blood, small droplets all over the floor, leading to my brother's bed. There was a kitchen knife that was thrown on the floor next to his bed, where blood was a bit thicker and congealed on the carpet. A chair was kicked on its side, and there hung my brother. His face was bright red, and he was struggling. I ran over, and in his flailing, he kicked at me, but I understood what he was trying to do. I wrapped myself around his legs and lifted with all of my might, and he drew sharp breaths in, beginning to sob. Tears were rolling down my face at this point. I just held his legs while he breathed. I picked the chair back up and put it underneath his feet. He stood and fumbled with the noose that he had around his neck. I grabbed for the knife and sawed at it until it broke and came loose. We didn't say anything. Rather, we just sat there and cried. Eventually I caught my breath, and I asked him what the hell he was thinking. Anger was forming within me. I just can't cope with it anymore. What the fuck do you mean? I see it every night, and I want it to stop. I realize he is referring to the lady in white. He calms down. He asks me not to tell my mom, and fills me in on everything that's happened. He says he used to just see her every night, but now she started to talk to him, and show him images of horrible things, like burning children and disgusting shit, is what he said. I don't really believe him at first, but he goes into sickening detail about how she flashed an image of a beheaded child into his brain, that he couldn't get away from it. Even if he closed his eyes, it was still there. Nothing he could do would remove the image from his vision. I start to believe him, and I hear the door open. It's my mom. She walks upstairs. She is instantly horrified and begins to scream bloody murder at my brother in anger and fear about what he had just tried to do. I tried to calm her down, and for the first time in her life, she punches me. She starts wailing on my brother, telling him that he's a dumbass, etc. I have never seen this side of her, but he yells back, and it's clear that he has. He's getting bruised. I can tell she's actually trying to hurt him. If any of you have a brother, you would know what I'm talking about, but I could not tolerate seeing him hurt like that. As hard as I can, I swing my fist at my mom's head. It kind of misses, but hits her enough to knock her over. She starts to cry, probably realizing what she's doing, and we all do too. At this point, I kind of realized just how messed up my family is. After this whole ordeal, we went to therapy, and my mom got a personal therapist. We all opened up to each other about the white lady. My mom had seen it way more than one time, and said that she did not want to worry me when I asked before. My brother said that was the only time my mom ever hit him like that, to my surprise, but I believed him. After a while, things cool down a bit. We start acting more like a family, but my brother is visibly afraid of my mom still. We start to talk a bit more, and he says he wants to take his own life. He says that the white lady has come to him less frequently, but still shows him horrible images that torture him at night, that stop him from sleeping. Sometimes he goes days without sleep. I don't really know what to say. Clearly therapy did not work. Nothing really worked to rid him of those night terrors. After we had a long chat one night, we both went to bed. I was having a dream that wasn't really pleasant or unpleasant, when suddenly in the dream, a child appeared in front of me. I couldn't control what I was doing in the dream, and I started to beat the child, like there was lots of gore. I could not wake myself up, and was subject to watch myself in the first person brutally murder this child. I awoke, scared as all hell. I quickly tried to sit up, but I could only move my head. Standing next to my brother's bed was a woman dressed in all white, accompanied by a little boy in a small white suit. I was fucking petrified. It was truly the most scared I have ever been, even more so than at my aunt's house that one night. I laid like that for hours, not daring to even move a muscle. Eventually, I drifted back into a dreamless sleep. In the morning, my brother seemed happy and told me that he had not seen it last night, not even once. I did not dare tell him about what I saw, so I started looking up the woman in white. I read a few creepypastas, but recognized that was not my situation, and it was just baiting. Then I stumbled upon this paranormal board. At this point, I was seeing the woman in my sleep every single night, and I was just terrified of the nighttime in general. I never wanted to leave the house, and I often took sleeping pills just to knock myself out so that I would not see her. My brother talks to me irregularly, and said he had finally stopped seeing the woman. He didn't know what triggered it, but life was worth living again. And conversely, I have started wanting to kill myself. This paranormal board helped because it made me feel like I wasn't insane, but I started to plot my own death. One night, I chugged a 750 milliliter bottle of vodka and tried to down some pills, but ended up just puking in the toilet all night. Now I'm browsing here. I still sometimes see the lady, but she doesn't show me disgusting things as much as she used to do. She has never spoken to me, but I feel like I know her, and I want nothing more than a solution. I'm desperate, seriously desperate. I feel like I'm trapped in a cycle. Does anyone have any advice? I'm going to end it all soon if this does not stop. I am 26 years old now, by the way, and both my mom and my brother say they do not see anything anymore and live pretty happy, normal lives. So, when this happened, I was a facilities manager for the old president's house at my university one summer. I get a free place to live, a little cottage on the grounds, in exchange for locking doors and cleaning fountains. The house is this sprawling, stucco Victorian-style thing with gardens and a tower that was built in the 1930s. I'm chilling one night when I get a call from the security company saying that there's a hit on the motion detector in the main house kitchen and that the alarm is going off. I go and wait in the driveway for campus PD to come and clear the house so I can lock up again. While I'm waiting in the driveway, I get a call. There is no number or name or even call blocked. It's just a blank incoming call screen, nothing else on the screen. I press answer. There is no spoopy static or whispering, just silence. Whatever. The cops show up and search the house. There were no signs of a break-in or anything in the house. I lock up and go back to watching cartoons or whatever. By 2:30 a.m., I am in bed reading a book. I can hear the alarm start to go off in the house now. Fuck my life, it's probably rats or some shit. I get dressed and go and wait for the cops again. Another call comes in. No name or number again, just the blank, incoming call screen. Once again, there is silence on the other end. I think maybe it's the security company trying to get in touch. A couple minutes later, the security company calls. I ask them if they've been trying to get through to me before then. The guy says he has not called me, besides the times that I picked up. I give them the code and all that bullshit. He says it's another motion sensor in the foyer this time. There's lots of windows and framed pictures in there, so it was probably just headlight reflections. The cops show up and clear the place without finding anything again. I lock up and go back to bed. I am asleep until about 4 a.m. I wake up to a call from the security company. Another damn sensor hit, this time upstairs, where one sensor covers a long, spoopy hallway. I ask the guy if he can just turn it off so I can not bother with it. He gets kind of pissy and says no. I don't even bother getting dressed. I call Campus PD and tell them not to come back since it's obviously rats or something wrong with the system or something. I walk around the outside and make sure that everything is still locked tight. I go in to turn off the alarm. The alarm is down in the cellar. That's your typical spoopy-ass horror movie basement. There is a bare concrete floor, cinder block walls, and a single bare bulb hanging in the center that you have to walk down into the middle of the room, in the dark, to turn on with the pole chain. There are a couple of little 12x6 windows at ground level that let in just enough light from the street lamps outside to see the musty old furniture and shelves of booze and cleaning supplies. I absolutely hate that place, so I hurry down the stairs and jerk the light on as fast as possible. I turn off the alarm and get ready to go back to my little shack when the phone rings. No caller ID once again. I consider just ignoring it, but curiosity mixes with anger when it occurs to me that someone just might be screwing with me. I hit the answer button and I shout "what" into the receiver. I listen intently for some sign of someone on the line, like breathing with the hum of a building. There is nothing but silence on the other end as I stand there with the crusty bare bulb swaying slightly above my head, causing the shadows to grow and shrink on either side of me. Suddenly, out of the quiet, comes an angry burst of white noise, followed by a little beep from my phone, telling me that the call was disconnected. My heart jumps into my throat, and I am suddenly hyper-aware of the spooky room I'm in the basement, of this spooky house. I yank the little pole chain to kill the bulb above me, and I sprint 3 stairs at a time back into the kitchen with that horrible feeling of being chased that you get when you spook yourself out. I can hear the dishes rattle in the cupboards as I run through the kitchen, and the pictures on the walls shake in their frames when I run from the dining room to the foyer and out the front door. I speed walk back around my shack and decide to have a smoke to chill the hell out. As I am sitting there on my steps, drawing from my bowl in my undies, I can see the little windows to the cellar. The light is back on. And that was the night that some spoofy shit happened. The guy who had the job before me told me the place was creepy, but that he never experienced anything himself. Nothing else happened after that night, but I always tried to lock up before the sun went down after that. I am not a cop at all, but my grandpa was in the FBI in the 1960s to the 1980s and has some interesting stories that he's told me. Back in the day, there was a wanted man who they had been trying to find for a while. They knew where he lived, but every time they would check to see if he was at his apartment, there were never any signs of him. He had lived far away from the city, in a relatively rural area of Texas. One day, my grandpa was off duty and was in the area, I'm not sure why, and decided to check on it, not expecting anything to come of it. The guy wasn't known to be dangerous, if I recall correctly, so my grandpa did not think too much of going to check on the house. He went up to the door and knocked. The door opened up after a little while, and lo and behold, it's the guy they're looking for, standing right in front of him, with a pistol in his hand. I don't remember exactly what happened, since I was told this story a while ago, but he managed to disarm the guy and get him cuffed. The guy did not resist, and later claimed that he was practicing his quick draw. After my grandpa got him into handcuffs, he put the pistol on top of the refrigerator in the room, assuming that the wanted guy was the only person in the apartment. My grandpa started taking the guy out of the apartment to his car. As he was reaching the door, he heard a yell coming from behind him. His girlfriend had been in the apartment the whole time, and when he turned around, she had grabbed the gun from the top of the fridge and demanded that he let the guy go. So, instead of letting him go, Grandpa used the guy as a human shield and told her to put the gun down. She refused, so he approached her with her boyfriend in between them for protection. He got close enough to throw the boyfriend into her and subsequently cuffed her too. The whole time, the wanted guy was pleading with the girlfriend to just stop and didn't struggle against my grandpa. My grandpa only took the wanted guy because they were far away from the city. I don't remember if he went back for the girlfriend later or if he got backup to do it for him.